Twisted, just an earthbound misfit. Oh, probably be good if I remembered more of that song than just that line. It was a great song too. Typically, that's actually something I can remember too, is stuff like song lyrics and vitally important shit like that. I can't remember the proper procedure for inhale exhale part of the time, but typically any type of any type of useless information, I'm all about it. Hey, Anakin and John Rivera is here. Jeff is in. Bryson Leone is here. Sweet beast. Nitro. Jonathan Velez is back. Wolverine's in. Niles here. Krusty Bomb. Weebster. Wildfire Entertainment. Gimme the legend. Mouse Tools. Cesaro's back. Franklin Cook. DJ Games. Edzengar. Goku Blackson again. Inferno Bunny. Hero. Cthulhu's back. Yeah, I was thinking about. Well, I think we all have been thinking a lot about this stuff, the things that are closed that we really miss, and the U.S. government. Yeah, Arthur. True that. Well, of course, I don't know. Do we really? Oh, yeah, I guess we kind of miss it. But yes, having it back open would be good. I it's just fun to think about what are the things that you find yourself specifically, Jesus Christ, specifically find yourself wishing would reopen. And again, there's no wrong answer. There's no being. We don't play that game here. If you say, I want the beach open, I want this. So there's no slings or arrows to be thrown about people going, well, you got to keep my grandma safe. We're just talking about what is it that is something in your day-to-day life that you had fun with, Spaz Kid wants GameStop back open. So GameStop might be just about dead after this. That's a good one. Christopher says, honestly, the biggest thing for me is my friend's houses. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of it that way, but that's true too. That's tough. The personal relationships. I was thinking retail and stuff like that, but that's a good point. We have some good friends of ours who come over regularly and we hang out. And when this all was really taking effect, they would come over and we would just social distance outside and talk on the porch. And finally I said, what, this is fucking stupid. It's only the four of us, well, five of us with Spaz Kid. We all know we're doing the right things day to day and everything. It's ridiculous to not be able to hang out in the house. So we do that now. It was one of those occasions where I didn't even think things through. It's like, who gives a shit? If it's gotten so bad that I can't have our closest friends in who we know and trust and we would never put one another at risk. If I can't have them in my house, then fuck it. I don't even want to do this whole existence thing anymore. Oh shit, Liam. Military installations. I've been trapped on a military base for 2 months. That sucks. I didn't think about that either. Arthur clarifies about the federal government. Oh no, I mean, I'm anxious about it. I don't want it. Okay, now I understand, Arthur. And I agree. Goku Black, where'd it go? Had one of mine in the mall. Believe it or not, I know I don't fit into what is typically considered the Molly type of category, being an old white dude. I guess race shouldn't have anything to do it, being an old dude. But I do. I love going to the mall. I like just hanging out and shopping, like going with my wife, like going with Spaz Kid, just hanging out, going to the stores, going to the anime shops like Think Geek and Box Lunch. Yeah, Box Lunch. Box Lunch is one of my favorites. Sad. The anime never leaves me anymore. When we go to the mall, that's the first thing. Or if we go to a new mall, it's like, you guys got a Think Geek? You got a Box Lunch in here? Strip clubs, all that tainted taint. Cthulhu says. Well put. Tainted taint is a good phraseology. Maxon, listen, another one of mine's casinos. Spaz and I have a lot of fun going to the casinos once in a while. Casinos and strip clubs. Had to postpone a friend's birthday party and a trip to Vegas. See, that sucks. And I know, don't get me wrong, I know against the grand scheme of people dying and everything, those are not the most important things, but it doesn't matter that it still is, and that doesn't affect the fact that these things still affect our lives because they're what we're used to doing. It's our, the casino, the strip club, the mall, friends' houses, whatever it is. That's our release. Those are coping mechanisms for all of us. Life is a pain right in the ass a lot of the time, and for all of us, we all have those coping mechanisms now that have been taken away, even if it's just a coping mechanism in the sense that it's something you enjoy. So it just gives you a few hours out of the day where you're having a good time. I'm I'm gonna try and read your name, pal. I'm probably gonna fuck it up. Just Srinivas? Srinivas? Is that even close? Love from India. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Devin Collins says, I'm not anxious. I've been working every day since it's happened. I just hate everyone is back on the road. That's been weird, hasn't it, Devin? And everybody. It's so weird to see the roads. You know what really struck me? It was just the other day, Saturday. We had to run out to Brax's college and pick up the rest of his stuff because when they left school, they thought they were coming right back, and of course didn't. And so they finally had to get everything set up. But anyway, so we're going on the thruway, and now here on the thruway in New York is a toll road. So they have these little rest areas with, it's different, a McDonald's, a Burger King, sometimes it's Annie Ann's, pretzels, Dunkin' Donuts, all that kind of stuff. Just a place to stop, use the bathroom, get something to eat, pick up any items you might need for travel. But anyway, on weekends, those things are packed because there's always so much traffic on the thruway. And it was almost eerie because all of them we went by had no more than 2 or 3 cars in them. And it just strikes you because, again, on a weekend daytime, those would typically have at least 50, 60 cars in the lots. And that was weird. Adam says barbershops for my head's about to look like yours. Yeah, Adam, that's why Spaz Kid went with the buzz cut. He couldn't take it anymore. And like I said, he inherited that thick hair thing from me, so that the no barbershop was freaking getting to him, and he finally said, fuck it, it's going. Well, thank you, Hotspot. I appreciate that. Johnny says, I wish my gay bathhouse was open. I love hanging with Mr. Stotch. Any South Park reference is always welcome, as well as any Monty Python and the Holy Grail references. Ryan says, I'm anxious how the road is going to be and what's open. I have a 26-hour road trip back to PA this coming weekend. I think if New York is any indication, Brian, and we've been shut down hard, like again at the thruway stops, not all of the restaurants are open inside, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but there is something open. You can go in, and the mainline place, whether it's McDonald's or I forgot what the name of it is. We have those roast beef shops, not Arby's, another one up here that they put in them, or Burger King. Typically, those are open, except they do have shorter hours now, a lot of them too, which sucks if, like you got a long trip, you might be on the road in the middle of the night. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the way they've done everything in the respect that, and with what we know now about how the virus spreads and everything, there are ways to keep everyone safe and have more things available. I mean, I'm not just saying, hey, let's open the doors and everybody go out and do your own thing. But there's plenty of reason to be able to open a lot more than we have. Cthulhu says, I'm going to feed the dumb people to my pet spider, Jim. I don't. For some reason, I think that naming your pet spider Jim is a quality move. I'm not even sure why. I just kind of like that. Sketchy Eddie says, you always make my day ever since my relationship ending during this quarantine. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Eddie. Much love, Curtis. And when is Vinland Saga coming on the channel? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. As far as Vinland Saga, of course, everything we do is voted on over at the Goosh, over at the Patreon, and we have nominations and polls. So I never know for sure what's going to get voted in next. I have a strong suspicion, and again, things could change, but if the last series of nomination polls are an indicator, I got a feeling the next winner is probably going to be Hajime no Ippo. Probably Hajime no Ippo. If not, I'm thinking, oh gosh, what's that newer anime? Dr. Stone. Thank you, Brax. Dr. Stone. I'm thinking it's probably gonna be one of those two. Franklin says they allow their places to open here, but only one person at a time. Well, that's what I'm saying too, Franklin. To me, and I don't know if you guys agree. Arthur says next post: prostitutes' legs. Oh wait, it's not Corona's fault. The prostitutes' legs are closed. Oh, that's right. It's because of our dumbass politicians. Well, that's what I was leading to. The other day, uh, I was reading on Facebook or somewhere on social media, and I really felt bad for this lady who owns a little jewelry store, and she's like, I can't feed my family, and I don't know if my business is going to survive. And this is what I've been saying all along. I understand that Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, all those are essential stores because we got to be able to buy food. We got to be able to, get the thing. If something happens in your home, if a tree falls through your roof, you got to be able to buy supplies to fix it, so on and so forth. I get that. But here's the thing. I've been in Walmart a number of times since it started. I've been in Lowe's and Home Depot because I don't let Brax or my wife go out. Brax is not as much at risk, being young and strong kid.
Yeah, I'm cool.
But my wife has asthma. Brax has some allergies, so it's like, just let's let the old fart go out. I don't have any breathing issues or anything like that, so they stay in. So I've been out quite a bit. Let me tell you something. The fucking Walmarts are packed. The hardware stores and stuff are even more so. So it doesn't matter. I mean, for the most part here, everybody's wearing their masks and doing their best to social distance, but you can't stay social distance. I mean, there's so many people in those stores. It's just impossible. Now, there's been no major outbreaks around these areas that I know of, around, the stores and stuff like that. And it's because people are being smart. But all that said, it's easier for this lady with the little jewelry store to social distance than it is for them, because she's got this small store. And so you put up a sign that says, we're open, and just like was alluded to here, no more than however many, 3 or 4 customers at a time, please. So if you see that there's 4 people in here, please, you're going to have to wait outside till someone finishes shopping. She gets to keep her livelihood. Nobody is put any more at risk, certainly, and less at risk than they are going into Walmart or going into Lowe's. It's not fair. It just isn't fair. You may call her business non-essential, but it's pretty fucking essential to her if her family can't eat. Cthulhu says, Jim is a gray grass spider the size of my hand. Jesus Christ. Fear Jim, for Jim is almighty. Cthulhu, my wife's biggest fear is spiders. She would shit her pants. Yeah. that is right. That is the number one for her. Sketchy Eddie says, I just want to go back to work to keep my mind busy. I can understand that too. Yeah, absolutely. It's your sanity. Maxon says, I wouldn't risk working at Walmart or Target right now. My friend's girl caught coronavirus after just 2 weeks of working at Target. My friend got checked and he came back negative in a quarantine now. Yeah, I certainly you're more at risk working in any type of retail. Absolutely. I mean, again, we're doing, for the most part, people seem to be doing the best they can, keeping that distancing, being conscious of the constantly washing their hands, all the things that we didn't know to do prior to this. Nobody's running up to each other and shaking hands. Nobody's running up to each other and giving hugs for greetings. I believe that if we weren't, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not poo-pooing at this. It's just the way that it's the way our society is. But in our society, if shaking hands and hugging were not the typical means of greeting, I'll bet you this outbreak wouldn't have been, I mean, obviously you still have an outbreak, not nearly as bad. When you think about it, a handshake or even a high five, that is the most direct way to transmit. Outside of that, you're saying, okay, somebody goes in and they've got coronavirus and some of their droplets are on their hand. They put their hand on this counter. Now, within the time frame before that dies, you put your hand on that counter, you got it. That certainly happens and happens all the time. But the odds are less of that than when you just come up to somebody and naturally shake their hand. So I think that was a big part. That's why I think as we slowly open up, you're not going to be dealing with quite the same significance of outbreak because people are smarter now. They know what not to do. Cthulhu says, my fear, and Jim's, is the Corona shuffle. Well, I think I've told you, you guys will get it with Cthulhu talking about his pet spider. I think I told you guys The one time we went over, and my wife is such a Disney fanatic. She has said no more. She's never leaving Disney when she's there. She's never leaving Disney to go over to the Universal again because Disney's her home. But the one time we went to Universal, we all went over and we were on some of the 4D rides, and I don't remember which one it was, but it was a thrill ride, so everybody's screaming. Okay, you know, all the kids are screaming. Everybody's pretty much screaming and yelling. We came around this one corner, and those 4D rides look realistic. This giant fucking spider dropped down right in front of us.
Oh yeah, Harry Potter ride.
It was a Harry Potter? I couldn't remember which one it was. My wife, amidst all these screams, she outdid all of them by fivefold. She let out a scream. And I looked, people 2 and 3 cars down from us turned around and looked at her in the midst of all this noise. It was freaking awesome. She hates spiders like you guys. I just can't even describe to you guys how much she hates fucking spiders. I'm doing good, Alex. Brian says, what do you think about Disney Springs enter your own risk notices when they reopen? I think that's reasonable, Brian. You got to put those up. See, I'm a believer in reopening the way that Disney Springs is doing it. They're doing it with the social distancing. They're doing it under advisement. And I especially in that hot Florida sun where we know that they've determined that this virus does not spread as easily, or it's very difficult. If you're actually in the sun, it's very difficult to spread the virus. It's killing it almost immediately, that hot, humid sun. So I think they're doing exactly the right thing. You got to start opening stuff up. Again, you don't want the cure or the means of battling the disease to become worse than the disease itself. Oh, I wouldn't even do that to her, Johnny. Great video idea. Put a spider in bed with your wife. Hope she doesn't divorce you. I'd be afraid she'd have a heart. She's terrified of them. Absolutely terrified of them. I don't know why. Be wary in your urge for reopening, Scourge says. We have yet to hit the second wave and the virus is constantly mutating. Okay, there's a million things wrong with that. I'll give you a couple of the ideas right away. There's no wary in the urge for reopening. It needs to start reopening now. That's why we are starting to reopen it now. Because if the economy entirely and totally crashes, that's going to be a way worse eventuality than anything you're going to deal with the virus. You do not know for a fact there's going to be a second wave. There legitimately could be. For coronaviruses, historically, they have not had big second waves. It has happened. One of the coronavirus strains had a second and a third wave. So it can happen. So this stance that the second wave is inevitable is not true. It very well could happen. It very well could not happen. And the thing that has to be remembered more than anything else is as things reopen, we have a new reality. You aren't going to have handshaking. You're not going to have hugging. You're going to have social distancing. You're going to have consciousness of cleanliness. And that's going to help. Could there be another wave? Yes. Will it be as bad as this one? I say no, simply because people know better how to act. And it's still up in the air, but there is reason to believe that once you've had the virus, you do have an effective antibody. If that's the case, the second wave is not going to be as extreme, particularly knowing now that we do that a lot more people have the antibodies than we ever imagined. So there is absolutely no reason to be wary at all in the urge for reopening, period. Franklin says, well, retail stores are able to open up. Some stores are having problems opening because the employees get more money on unemployment than when they get the paycheck. I don't think that $600 bump in unemployment was necessarily a good idea. I'm all for the money getting out to the people. I think it should have been distributed differently so that it didn't make it difficult for employers to get their employees back into the job market. Now, I know there is a rule that says if your job is offered to you and you turn it down, you'll be taken off the system. But we know how the wheels of quote unquote the system work, and it's I wouldn't have any faith in that actually taking place in a timely manner. Every epidemic has had a second wave. All cases, I just read it from an epidemiologist. Well, now it depends. Do you need it to be designated as a pandemic? Because all cases of coronavirus outbreaks, because there's been a ton of strains of them, have indeed not had a second wave. 100%. Now, if you're saying it's all ones that were categorized as epidemic, pandemic, or something, that's an entirely different thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about coronavirus strains. All coronavirus strains, majority of coronavirus strains, have not been pandemic levels. But the epidemiologist was talking about whether or not there was a second wave of them. Let's see. Have you seen QWordy says, have you seen Video Game House 3 and 4 out of curiosity? I don't remember where I left off on those. Didn't I see 3, you guys? I'd have to look, because now that I'm trying to get back to watching Brandon more more of our pal Devil Artemis and more RDC World 1, I got to go back and check. But I don't remember if I think I saw 3, but I don't think I saw 4. But I'll have to double check. Stormstar says, have you heard about how unclear Boris Johnson's speech and follow-up question answers were when he talked about easing the lockdown in the UK? It was so unclear, people are just doing as they please. Yeah, I don't know all the details, we asked for this, Stormstar, but that's the gist I got. People said that was clear as mud. And he was like, yeah, that, again, I don't comment too much on UK politics because I'm not well versed enough to comment on it. I don't have an issue with Boris Johnson per se, but if that's the case, if you're doing anything but outlining very clearly what your path going forward is, you're doing a disservice to everyone. Yeah. Chrome says, you really think kids in the spring break idiots are going to follow social distancing if everything opens back up? Chrome, the thing of it is, do I think anyone will fall in line 100% with anything we do? No, of course not. They won't. Again, it's one thing to identify issues. So if you're saying, well, we can't trust this group to not do things right, what's the solution? Keep everything closed until everything crashes and there's nothing to come back to? It's one thing to identify potential problems. If you're identifying potential problems without a solution, it's not doing anybody any good. Michael Locke says, why I'm more like to listen to an old man who is talking about co-redacted virus and economy than Spotify. Listen to music on Spotify. The music on Spotify will always be there. Jar says, I'm in Georgia. We reopened over 2 weeks ago and haven't had a significant rise in cases. We only have 1,400 deaths and 37,000 cases. The humidity down here will keep it down. It's time to get real. I see that Georgia was the first ones to really start the reopening, and no, there has not been a significant uptick at all. As a matter of fact, and now I haven't updated this since last week, but the last I saw, as of the end of last week, they were down 12% in cases. And the thing of it is, even if they had gone up some, we know the odds are good that as we start to reopen, cases could go up. But that doesn't matter when you do it. At some point, you're going to reopen and cases have the potential to go back up. The idea was to flatten the curve so that the hospitals and all those in the healthcare field didn't get overwhelmed. As long as you're not overwhelming them, we're doing what we need to do. And certainly Georgia is in no way, shape, or form threatening to overwhelm their healthcare services. As a matter of fact, isn't Georgia, I believe, Jar, one of the states where they were laying off some hospital workers? Because, with the virus out there, there were no elective surgeries being done, so they didn't have work. Thanks, QWordy. Andrew says the lockdown is screwing over school districts as well. We're losing $10 million next year because of this. Yeah, a lot of the districts in New York are being hit hard. Yet here we are with people like Pelosi wanting to give money to nonsense places. Yeah, it's going to be rough here in upstate New York. I know that what they're already planning on for lost wages for lost aid is very significant and very, very disturbing. Jack Queen says, talking back about Boris Johnson, it's true. It was so unclear. People are just using common sense and people are idiots. That's unfortunate. Like I say, Jack, I can't comment cogently on it because I didn't see the entirety of it, but that's been the reaction. And, with having the channel and the Goosh and everything, I get to talk to a lot of people and have a lot of friends in the UK. And that's been pretty much everybody's take, that he laid out his quote unquote plan and everybody was left going, what? I mean, at least whether you agree with them or not is up to you, but at least the CDC here did release very specific guidelines for the steps to reopening. Again, whether or not you agree with them is up to every individual. But at least we weren't left with no idea of what the official stance was on reopening. You haven't seen Video Game House 3 yet. Oh, I didn't, Krusty Bomb. You have, however, watched Anime House 3. Oh, is that that's what I was thinking. Gotcha. I gotcha. I'll be catching up on them hopefully soon. I love RDC World 1. I've told you guys over and over. I think they are so perfectly representative of what is the best of YouTube. You know, a bunch of guys just getting together with some funny ideas and a video camera. I think that's the best. Do I know anyone who's gotten coronavirus? Well, I know people. I haven't had anyone like super close in my circle, but as far as like online acquaintances, friends of friends and stuff, by that reach, yes. No one so far, again, in my tight circle of friends and family, but where I am in upstate New York, it didn't hit hard at all. I mean, naturally, people here in New York and with what's going on in New York City, everybody thinks, you know, it's been hit hard, but the rest of the state hasn't. I'm in the Mohawk Valley region because they break it down by regions in New York, and we haven't been hit. I mean, knock on wood, we haven't been hit hard at all here. But again, everything is way more spread out up here, and we know that it's when you have a big, very condensed population that it's difficult to deal with. Yeah, a lot of doctors got laid off, Jar says, due to this virus. It was ridiculous. They act like this was the end of the world without knowing what they were talking about. Well, and that's what it is too. And it seems like a lot of people, when they talk about solutions or this, that, and the other, they only want to refer back to the worst case scenarios, which was China, Italy, and now New York City. You got to look at the rest of the country too. You know, you break it down by what the potential is. Now, where I live, just 160 miles north of New York City, there's been very, very little activity with the coronavirus. It's because we are so spread out. You don't have people on top of one another. And so it never really took a hold here. Now that everybody is aware, again, not to shake hands, not to go run up hugging each other, the constant cleanliness, washing of the hands and everything, it's not that hard to keep it from being an outbreak up here. It's much more difficult in large cities where everybody's, you know, right on top of one another. The hospital by us, Franklin says, laid off 100 people because they don't have work. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's our government is so, and it doesn't matter, you know, whether it's Republican, Democrat. This isn't throwing stones at either side. The government is just so slow to react, even within the reaction. It's like, okay, now you figured out that, you know, this was much more transmittable than the flu. We take actions to shut everything down to head it off. Good job. And then they're so slow to realize, okay, well, let's look around and see that in these areas in Montana, in Alaska, in places where there is sparse population, they really shouldn't be under the same guidelines as other places, or even us. You know, within New York, the Mohawk Valley should not be under the same guidelines as New York City, where, you know, they're just getting pounded by it. Up here, it's almost a non-issue. But government takes forever to start realizing these things and say, okay, well, let's make rules for here and rules for here. But it's this way we do everything, unfortunately. And again, that's not throwing stones at either side. It's government all around. Philip says, Geek Girls, how am I supposed to meet cute, nerdy girls? How's it going, everyone? Guess who's got the day off? Thank you, Queen Victoria. I'm glad you got the day off. You're going to be with us, Philip. G. Caden says, I'm slowly going crazy during quarantine. That's actually kind of an intimidating, scary thing. A lot of people have difficulty dealing with this, especially if you're someone that already maybe had some emotional issues or struggles or issues with depression. This can really be a whole lot to deal with. Acalorian says, are you afraid about chemical weapons in the future? Me, I am. Oh, well, they're always a threat, Acalorian. Yeah, absolutely. They're a terrifying threat. Sure. I can understand anybody, but you know, all we can do is monitor as best we can. Got a lot of rogue agents in this world. That sure, it makes you nervous. Let's see. Ria says this country's government is just so polarized. That's a big part of the problem too, Ria. There is no coming together anymore. So with everything being as polarized as it is, you have one side that says everything you do on the right is going to be wrong. The other side says everything you do on the left is going to be wrong. It makes everything more difficult. But again, and this has been our history, unfortunately, we just don't do a good job of reacting efficiently. It's been obvious for several weeks now that there are certain areas where you could have easily started to reopen and ease some of this burden on the economy and on people who are suffering. It's been very clear as we learned how this virus is spread and everything, and what steps to take to try and mitigate the spread. Excuse me, guys. Um, Arthur says if we get any more restrictive, if we get any more restrictive on pornography, then I'm actually going to move to Japan. Well, we vote on restricting it. They're voting on doing censorship. Are they? I didn't even know that, Arthur. Are they fun? It's always been funny. I always thought that was funny that I've said this before in the little I've done stand-up bits here or there, for benefits and stuff like that over the last few years. And since being into anime and stuff, I tend to relate things to Japan more often. And I had said before that I was really confused when I saw Asian people in American porn because I thought all their genitals were blurry. I didn't know it was camera work. I didn't know why they were all blurred. I didn't know they had real genitals. Yeah, exactly, Chrome. They're the ones that have to blur the point. That's what I'm saying. So that must be what he's talking about. Must be they're talking about not having to do that anymore. And with as liberal as Japan is with things, it always surprised me that they were the ones that had to blur everything. Goku Black says Donzo did nothing wrong. Philip says exactly to Chrome why they're going to uncensor it. Is it going to be uncensored, or is it something? Because which I'm ashamed to have missed something as vital within the porn industry as this, but I didn't know anything about this. Is it something that is up for a vote? Is being is being discussed, or is it something that's going to actually go into effect? I need to know. This is important shit. Franklin says day one of the start of reopening, bumper to bumper traffic and a couple of accidents of people trying to go to the beach. Jesus, that's the thing too. People, well, you can't make them understand. People need to understand that as you're doing this reopening, again, let's all get together and do it right so we can keep everything reopened. Curtis, will you be reacting? Andrew says, Curtis, will you be reacting to online class trolling compilations? You like them? Also, I doubt it. I mean, this is the first I've heard of them, so I don't know why I would be reacting to them. Also, I can't wait to be able to go to the video game stores again. That's what Brax said too. That was his number one. Oh, it hasn't passed, but they are discussing it, Arthur said. Well, they better start discussing it in earnest. God damn it. Spaz Kid and I want to get down, and he told me about it in Orlando. Of course, you guys know we're all Disney World nuts in my family, but in Orlando they have the Naruto themed restaurant, and was it the One Piece themed restaurant?
No,
Dragon Ball themed restaurant. I want to go down there, and you guys know how limited my tastes are, but I don't care. I will figure it out, and and I will find a way to eat that food. I got to go to them. Scourge says, maybe it's because I've lost family from the virus, but I would like you to remember that as we reopen, cases will inevitably increase and doctors and physicians will have suffered. We just got through discussing that, Scourge. Yes, there's a real good chance as we start to reopen, cases will increase. Yes, absolutely. And if you do that today, they'll increase. If you do it next month, they'll increase. If you do it 3 months from now, they'll increase. So, but if you do it in 3 months from now, it won't really matter if they increase because there's going to be total devastation out there anyway. If you try to keep people locked down that long, you'll already had violence in the streets. You'll have uprisings all over the country, and you'll have an economy that has just been brutalized to the point of possibly not being able to return. So I don't know what your point is. Yes, when you start to reopen, the odds are good that the caseload will increase. The idea has been from the start to flatten that curve and make sure that the hospitals, the medical facilities can handle it. I'm not sure the point you're trying to make. Let's see. Jar says they're using all these tragedies and epidemics to take rights away from us. They think people don't notice their tyranny, but a lot do. I just think people are used to losing freedoms. Yeah, I think in some cases, I think some governors are handling it as well as can be expected. I think others are overreaching. Yeah, I think some of them, I think Newsom in California has become somewhat tyrannical. But others, I think, are doing the best they can. Lick says it makes me wet when God's beams of light cover up the naughty bits. Well put, Licks. One Piece amusement park is in Japan. I'd heard about that before, JC. I would love to see that. That would be cool as hell. I would really like to see that. Cthulhu says devastation is just another name for a good time. Chrome says, "Oh, Japan and Akihabara have a lot of those themed cafes and restaurants. They pop up a lot. One Piece, Dragon Ball, Kirby, Kirby. That's cool. Resident Evil look like a lot of fun. Yeah, Chrome. That's become my number one as far as, and it wasn't even on my list prior to you guys turning me into an anime nerd. But now, as far as international travel, that's become my number one goal. I want to go to Japan. Spaz Kid and I, we really, really. There's so many things there we want to see. And with as carefully closed as their society is there, who knows when that'd even be an option anyway. I would really, really like to see Japan. Casey Dub says, screw the morbid talk. Let's talk anime titties. You are welcome to talk anime titties here at any time, at any point. It is probably the number one point of conversation. Stormstar says, at some point, especially if a vaccine isn't going to be found, we're just going to have Tori and get back to see normality and weather the storm as best we can. Unfortunately, but now today, oh shit. One of the I forgot the name of the company, that's why I'm shitting. Today, I was just reading that one of the vaccines has already entered human trials. God damn it, I can't remember which company it was. But it's already entered human trials, and the early results have been excellent. They gave the test subjects 3 different levels of the vaccine. I don't remember what the dosage was, but it was in 50, 100, and 250. Everybody had antibodies. Every single one in every group had antibodies. They were more advanced in the 100 group. There's something about the antibodies that they can take to a new level, apparently, that makes you even more immune. They saw that in a lot of them. And only in the 250 level were there any side effects, and those were minimal. So as far as an early test goes, they're really, really excited. I mean, that's promising news. Oh, shit. I wish goddamn memory. If somebody else saw the article, I'm sure they can tell me. But it's one of the big drug companies, one of the name you guys would know. But that's really encouraging. Jonathan says, my friend told me this joke. So what do you think about cannibalism? Have you tried a boneless baby? Boneless wings are a thing. So, oh man. Philip says, the government will try to pull one over on us no matter the circumstances. Example, here in Canada, Trudeau's increased his beloved carbon tax when nobody's on the road to notice. I hate my country. There's been all kinds of things like that attempted here so far, Philip. A lot of politicians are trying to use this as an opportunity to fit in their specific little pet projects, items, so on and so forth. But I mean, with trying to attach anything as far as Green New Deal horseshit to it, they need to take and shove that up their ass. Only because regardless of where you stand on the Green New Deal, having sent out a $3 trillion stimulus package and possibly setting up another one, we don't need to add anything to the debt outside of that right now. Again, that's unfortunate for those who are gung-ho about it, but no Green Deal horse shit involved in any of these bills. Just get help out to people. QWordy says there's a Studio Ghibli theme park that is supposed to be opening 2022. Creator Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, etc. That would be cool as hell. Well, and it would be fitting too, QWordy, when you figure, everybody is referred to Ghibli as the anime version of Disney. Why not have a theme park? See, oh man, I would love to do that stuff. Arthur says it's cool that every cup size has a fan base. As well, every cup size should. Every cup size has something to offer. I don't care if it's down to the A's. Every set of anime titties deserves to be respected. The company was Umbrella Corp. Cthulhu says. Shh. I can't remember though which one. Umbrella Corp would have been too perfect. I can't remember which drug company it was, but yeah, that was that was some really, really promising. In other words, for a first round of human testing, it could not have gone better. It couldn't possibly have gone better. We badly need term limits. See, I'm always on the fence on those, Arthur. I see where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong. But then the other side of the coin I always look at is, well, is it fair to say you need term limits when these people have to be reelected every 2 to 4 years? So in one sense, I get why people say that, because you don't want the career politicians in there. Nothing ever changes. But the other side of that coin is it's the voters who are putting them in. We do have term limits now in the sense that you just vote them out. So I'm kind of conflicted on that one. It's one of those issues where I see both sides clearly. Jar says, I told my family that if I vote in 2020, I'm voting for Trump, and they looked at me like I was crazy. The fact that people believe that Joe Biden will actually be a good president is hilarious. And it's funny, Jar. I said it yesterday on the podcast stream. I take no joy in saying that, because I don't dislike Joe Biden at all, even though I don't agree with a lot of his political stances. I stuck up for him when people were saying that, he was losing it and he was in the early stages of dementia, because I followed politics for a long time, and Joe Biden has always been a goof when he goes off teleprompter. He always has. It's just part of his personality. But after what I saw from him this past week, that was disturbing. That actually, and I mean this genuinely, as somebody who may not agree with his politics, but I like the man, that disturbed me. There's something going on there. That was just not. He got so completely lost, just in the middle of a conversation, that it was disheartening. It really was. Scourge says, have you ever watched Heavenly Controller? No, I don't believe I've heard of that one, Scourge. That doesn't sound familiar to me at all. We need term limits for the fucking Congress, Willie says. Yeah, and again, Willie, that's a tough one for me, because I do see both sides of it. I completely understand why term limits would be a rational thing. The other side of the coin is, again, we have elections every 2 to 4 years. People need to get smarter and vote out the ones that don't deserve to be there anymore. So I don't know. QWordy says, Studio Ghibli animated 11 movies that are in the top 50 highest grossing anime of all time. They have 3 in the top 5, 2, 3, and 4. Wow. Yeah, I've seen a couple of Ghibli films. I'd tell you the titles, which, my memory and titles. The gang here probably be able to tell you better which ones I've seen than can I. But yeah, I would be all for that. I want to go to some of those themed restaurants and a Studio Ghibli theme park or One Piece theme park. Yes, please. Cthulhu says, I'd slap Susan, but I don't want to be charged for animal abuse. Oh. I'd slap Trump, but I don't want to be charged with Oompa Loompa abuse. Yeah, don't abuse Oompa Loompas. Let's see. Missy Meow says, hey, Curtis, I was curious if you had a preference of Disneyland or Disney World. Yeah, Disney World for me, Missy Meow. Disney World is many years since I was even there when I lived out in California. But just from what I know of them, I just like Disney World selection of parks. I love Epcot. Just absolutely love Epcot. And Hollywood Studios is fantastic. Yeah, I would put it this way. I would not spend the money required to go to Disney World. And unfortunately, I'm way too ready to spend the money. Or I'm sorry, to go to Disneyland. I'm way too ready to spend the money to go to Disney World. And it's not a knock against Disney World. It's just not my thing. Given that we have a choice between the two, it's definitely Disney World for me. Andrew says term limits would help change it up. For example, if you live in a Democrat or Republican stronghold, you're always going to get that person in office, but term limits would at least help change people up. No, I get what you're saying. And again, I see both sides of it. But the other side of that coin is, Andrew, every 2 to 4 years you have an election. So whether you're in a Democrat or Republican stronghold, you can still change it up. If you're in it, say you're in a Democrat stronghold and you have term limits, you're still in a Democrat stronghold. It's still going to be an uphill battle to beat the incumbent. So again, I don't put it this way. If they instituted term limits, I wouldn't have a problem with it. If they don't institute term limits, I don't have a problem with that either. It's just one of those rare cases where I see both sides of the argument and I don't have a heavy lean either way. Oompa loompa doopity doo. I built the wall between me and you, Willie says. That's good. Wolverine says, I'd slap Harambe, but I don't want to abuse God. Well, for those of you who haven't been with us for a long time, what was it? Wolverine has long been a proponent of keeping the memory of Harambe alive. There was something else you championed for a long time, Wolverine. I forgot what it was. I'm usually good at remembering things about you guys individually, but I remember Harambe, and there was something else that you were championing as a cause for quite a while. Now I forgot what it was. Q says, did you know that the Thousand Sunny is a real ship that can actually sail? No, I did not. And has all of the crew aboard, lifelike statues. Let me know if I'm allowed to send a link in this chat and I can show a video of the boat. You are allowed to, pal. I don't know how it works. You guys, the gang here knows better than do I. Can Q send a link? I don't remember how that all works. You guys know that better than I do. I'm sure I could look it up too. No, I didn't know about that. I would, oh man, get on the Thousand Sunny. I would freaking love that. The gang here will tell you. Arthur said they made another super chat that didn't show up. Hold on. Arthur. Let me make sure I didn't miss one. We badly need term limits. I saw that one. It's cool that every cup size has a fan base. One other than these, Arthur? See, because I don't have that option anymore. I told you guys the other day. Hadn't passed it. They were discussing. Okay, we're going way back now. I used to be able to check all the super chats. You just go to youtube.com/super_chat and I could see them. I can't do it. They took it away now. So now I can't go back and check for you, pal. Nothing would surprise me with YouTube anymore. But that used to make things so. You sure, Arthur? I wish I could help you out, pal. And again, it used to be the easiest thing in the world. Let me check it again. I still keep kidding myself saying that maybe the page was down, but it is. It's just one more thing they took away from us because it works. Why would YouTube leave up something that works perfectly? And this did. Yeah, the page isn't available. Why? Why would you ever take down something as convenient as that? I just never mind. I can watch for you to make another comment though, Arthur. I did watch Attack on Titan Drain. It was awesome. Attack on Titan was really good. That was some great storytelling. I can't wait for more. I got to see what's on the other side of the water, baby. Yeah, we'd also be wary of people sending links because of spoilers too. I didn't think of that, Jack Queen. Good point. Yeah, good point. Stormstar says Susan has been quite a bitch today. I got the notification for this stream 20 minutes after I started watching. Don't you love that, Stormstar? The best ones are, and we've had several lately, where people were getting them the next day. And not just one person, because the streams now they go live to the channel. I'd had comments come in on the one stream. I had at least half a dozen. So you figure if there's that many people that mentioned it, there's going to be probably at least 6-7 times more that just didn't bother to comment about it, and had at least half a dozen people come in and say they got the notification the following fucking day. Philip says, speaking of cup size, C/D fan here. I'm also big on girls who pad their chest and get embarrassed about it. Praise be to Eris. Yeah, I got that, and that was some of my favorite moments too in Konosuba. Yeah, that was great stuff. Oh goddamn, I love that series. I gotta see that movie. I keep saying that, and I never sit down and actually watch it.
So good.
Yeah, I know, Brax. You keep telling me. See, Mom doesn't want to watch it, so it's got to be one of those times when I've got that much time to myself and the opportunity to watch. I got to see that. I love that show. Absolutely love it. Yeah, Jeff says everyone is waiting to find out what is on the other side of the water. That was a great cliffhanger. Leaving that question mark out there was fantastic. M says, LOL, pat their chest and are embarrassed about it. Arthur says, politicians that stay in too long get too comfortable with PR and figure out how to do things without hurting their campaign. They work together. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, I agree with you on all those counts. Once somebody is in, it's difficult to get them out. I just see it goes back to a similar thing for me, pal. Like, people are unwilling to see that a politician has been in there too long and they're not doing the job that you put them in to do. But because of name recognition, they just, oh, well, I'll vote for him again. And that's what's wrong with the system. It's similar to, like, they talk about and this is why it irritates me, is because it's ignorance. They talk about the Russian interference in the 2016 election. Did Russia try to interfere in our election? Absolutely. But did they change any votes? No. They tried to get into voting machines and stuff. They were unsuccessful. They interfered because our people are dumb. What Russia did was they ran a disinformation campaign on social media. But if we have people who are dumb enough to read something from somebody they don't even know anyway on Facebook, and they took it as fact without even bothering to check the source or to verify that information elsewhere, and they made a voting decision based on it, Russia, all they did was take advantage of us being dumb. That's why I almost cringe when they talk about Russian interference. It's like, we should just let that drop, because that just proves that we're stupid. Now, it's different if a foreign country gets in and gets control of our voting machines, can change some votes, delete some votes, whatever. That's a serious fucking problem. But if the problem amounts to us all being dumb, I don't know how you go about curing that. Arthur says it's not some new restriction, though. The founding fathers look at the idea of term limits. Arthur, again, I'm not arguing with you. They can look at the idea, but until it's law, it would be a new restriction until it's law. Obviously, there are term limits on president. So term limits have been a thing, like you say, since the days of the founding fathers, but they didn't institute them for Congress. So again, I don't have any problem with term limits. I don't have any problem if they don't put in term limits. I would like to see an electorate that is more well informed, and that would take care of term limits for them. But that's pie in the sky. That's not going to happen. QWordy says, I'll message you the link on Discord of the Sunny. Once you see, well, it's better if you can to do it on Twitter. I don't get in the Discord much, only because, as I've told everybody, I don't like to open the Discord unless I have time to actually interact with people on the Discord. And that happens so rarely, I hardly ever get in there. I don't like to leave it open in the background, is what I'm saying. I just think that's rude, to show that I'm on the Discord and then not be paying any attention to it, so I'm not responding to people. But if you can send it to me on Twitter I check regularly. Once you've seen episode 517, 518-ish, and then there'll be no spoilers. Sorry. Oh, okay. Okay, so you got to go that far? Gotcha. I would love to see that, though. I would nerd right out for something like that. That would actually be comical, probably, to have a camera on me for, because I would seriously nerd out. To be on the Sunny with the characters there and everything. Yep. On Patreon. Okay, Discord, Patreon's better. Yes, Patreon's perfect. QWordy. Yep. That's my most checked message section. That's perfect. Chrome says, well, yes, you can have an election every 4 years, but typically it'll come down to 2 candidates. Yep. And the media heavily backing one, covering up all their scandals. I agree with you, Chrome. Like I say, I don't disagree with any of you. There's a lot broken in the system, and that's part of it. It's just that I don't jump on board with the pro-term limits thing just because I think it's because of my utter disgust with the voters just voting for a name. And you have that option to get anybody out. every 2 to 4 years, whatever their term limit is, or whatever their term is, you got that chance to take them out. And there's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that should be heave-hoed, but the voters don't do it. And I think that's why it's just taking away the responsibility from the voters who should be doing this. Will they ever step up and start doing that? Probably not. But that's what holds me off from being heavily pro term limit. But again, as far as understanding the perspective, I've got no problem with what you guys are saying. It's absolutely, the lack of term limits is absolutely helping to keep our government going in this fashion where nothing ever gets done. I completely agree with you guys on that. But there is another option available, and that's why I hesitate to get on board with it. Philip says, here's a joke. Curtis, you're so fat that when you heard about the pie in the sky, you joined the 82nd Airborne. Laugh track place. I don't know if that would be a laugh track or a rim shot, Philip. Or both. Join the 82nd Airborne. Yikes. Let's see. One of the reasons I really support term limits, Chrome says, comes down to just look how scared politicians get when you even bring up the choice of term limits. That's a good point. I'll give you that one. Yeah. You make a lot of people piss their drawers when you start talking about term limits. That's a good point. I'll give you that, Chrome. But again, I'm not arguing with you guys because I completely get why you're for them. And you guys know me. I'm I'm never abashed about giving you my opinions. It doesn't matter to me either way because I see both sides, but I completely get you. Dimmy says, I want everything to open because I bought so much stock when the stock market went low, especially the airlines. I want my mansion, white tiger, and big-breasted women. Dimmy, that was the move, brother. Because listen, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure, like Dimmy says, if you bought when the stock market crashed, there are only two options. You're either going to make a lot of money or the economy is going to be gone, in which case nothing matters anyway, because it could not survive at that level for an extended period. And Demi and I have talked before. I know he's a young man. So if you're young, there's no reason not to have heavily invested when the stock market was down, because you're going to make a shit ton of money. Throughout the next years, this economy will come back. Again, as long as the economy isn't allowed to just completely tank, which we're already taking action to head that off, you're going to make a shit ton of money. There's no two ways about it. Now, if something happened, like we were talking about this vaccine earlier that's shown such great promise, just say in the most ridiculously optimistic of circumstances, by August, this vaccine was out, available, and worked. What would happen then, because you would be having things go back to normal much sooner than expected, anybody that invested in the stock market when it was down is going to be rich, because that would create a ridiculous bounce back. You would have a monster bounce back whenever societally we get great news like that, above and beyond news, what anyone could have expected, which that would be, the stock market always has huge rallies. So yes, that what Demi's talking about, that's the move. If you bought stock when it was down, you are in line to make a shit ton of money at the very minimum over the next few years, and quite possibly over the next few months. Chrome says, so apparently Demon Slayer's manga just officially ended last Friday. I heard something about that. I stayed away from it on social media because I didn't want spoilers, but I did see it just ended. God, I really need to catch up before YouTube spoils more stuff. It's such a great series. Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from everything. Oh, excuse me, guys. That's something in my tooth. I'm trying to stay away from everything Demon Slayer now because of that. I just saw that, Chrome. They were just talking about it. Arthur says 4 to 8 years is plenty. Most politicians put through all their major changes in the first 2 years. Now, like I say, no need to convince me. If they came out with term limits for all of Congress tomorrow, I'd be like, okay, cool. Again, I'm not going to be one of the people marching on the Capitol to get it done. And I still will wish that people could just be smarter when they cast their votes. But if they put them in, they're like, okay, I got no issue. Lord Eisen is the best character. Goku Black. my boy Clark Kent. He's just this show is fascinating. Bleach is so good, and now he's got his minions down there. And what do they? They said the word was if he had at least 10 of them by now, the Soul Society was doomed, and he's got 22. Oops. I'm doing good, Manad. Good to see you. Term limits didn't start until the GOAT FDR had his 8-year run, correct? You might be right, Johnny. I might have been going too back with that. You might be right. Yeah, you're right, because there weren't. That's right. There weren't term limits initially. That you're right. You are correct, Johnny. That was my misspeaking. Yep, you're correct. Let's see. And I think it was easier probably to get term limits in for president just because that is seen like within our government the ultimate power rather than pieces of the power. But again, and I can't stress it enough. If they put them in, I'm fine with term limits. Chrome says, wonder how many suicides and attempted revolts from politicians is caused. You find a lot of people show up committing an Epstein. Yeah, you're not wrong, Chrome. And you made a good point earlier. If of all the reasons that we've talked about to put in term limits, to me the most compelling one is what Chrome said about how all current politicians piss their pants when you talk about putting them in. So yes, that would be fun. Yes, I completely agree with. We've got so many politicians that it would have been better to have seen. And the thing that gets me too, though, is guys, you know what really annoys me. And again, both sides of the aisle. Okay, say you like me. Our state is heavily Democratic. Where I live, it's Republican. But because of New York City, this is a heavily Democratic state. Okay, that may be, but how come when we have people that are ineffective as Democrats or Republicans in these areas that are heavily controlled by one or the other, why don't they at least primary somebody out? In other words, okay, if you're a heavy Republican state, you don't have to go Democrat to make a change. You can primary out the Republican and get a better representative in there. That's what I really don't understand about the voters. It'd be one thing to say, okay, we're heavy Republicans, so this guy's going to be in there forever because they won't vote for a Democrat. And that's going to be true in some cases. But why not primary his or her dumbass out of there? That's where they frustrate me. Maxon at the Fort says, every news story right now can be summarized into these two things. Either good news, everyone, or we're boned. That's why I stopped tuning in. Kinda. And unfortunately, Maxon, it just seems like we know that news media in general now is driven by clicks. And the unfortunate fact is clicks tend to be better served by bad news. That's the unfortunate thing. Yes, I'm in America. I'm in upstate New York, in the USA. Rocking in the USA. Detective Conan, don't go back. I'm in the midst of One Piece. I don't think I want to commit to the time frame of watching Detective Conan right at the moment. Scourge says, Curtis, have you noticed that the coronavirus began to take its toll very heavily soon after the death of Spaz Share? A message possibly that fucking Spaz Share had something to do with all this? That would not surprise me. 5G, nothing to do with it. Spaz Share, distinct possibility, that asshole. QWordy says, any interest in watching Dr. Stone? He came up earlier. That was again, what we watch is voted on. And one of the big surprises I've had in any of the nomination threads was Dr. Stone last time, because Dr. Stone, being a newer anime, went from prior nomination threads, not even being there, to being a major contender immediately. So I think the next one, it's going to be hard to beat Hajime no Ippo, because that almost made it last time and has a lot of support. But yeah, if there's an upstart anime that's going to beat it, it'll probably be Dr. Stone. Chrome says, to be fair, a lot of people either don't have enough time to properly investigate politicians or would rather spend time with family than be political activists. I agree with that, but that goes to what I've always said, Chrome. I've never ever believed in that whole guilting people into voting. I don't believe that at all. Vote, it's your duty is bullshit. I completely understand that. If people don't have an interest in the political process, like Chrome says, they're just people that want to go about, live their lives, be with their families, not concerned about the nuts and bolts of it. That's admirable and understandable. Don't vote. I think that whole pushing everyone to get out there and vote, and you have no right to complain if you don't vote. Well, sure you do. You're still a part of the community. You're still a part of the country. And if you don't like, it's just like saying, well, if you vote for Trump, you can't complain about things he does. Well, yeah, you can. If you vote for Obama, you can still complain about the things he does. It doesn't mean when you vote for someone, it just means that that is the person that you feel is better suited to the job. Doesn't mean they're infallible. So I agree with exactly what you're saying, Chrome. But I would encourage people like that, say, you know what, take a flyer. If you don't know why you're voting for someone, or you're voting for someone based on what you read one person say on Facebook, you're probably better off not to vote. You're definitely better off not to vote. Hey, Freddie Mercury. Domenico says, I live in Italy, and since the government has opened the economy, more people have been getting infected. Well, yeah, that's Domenico. That's especially, it's even tougher for you guys because obviously Italy geographically is the size of, one of our medium-sized states. So you're dealing with a lot more people in a small area. Plus, Italy's population tends to run, what is it? I think the average is like 9 or 10 years older than ours. So yeah, you guys were in a tough spot right from the beginning. But it's to be expected as you start to reopen that cases will start to rise again. What you want to do is just be able to control them and make sure that everybody has access to medical facilities and can be seen. That's all you can do. Because again, the other option is to just let economies die, and that's not a legitimate option. You'll see a lot more death due to that than you would have from the virus.
Something that I thought was funny is that back in high school, in my high school, political course.
Yeah.
She was like, that's kind of the way she taught the course, is that it is your duty to vote, and
it's bullshit.
You have to go out and vote because it's really important, and
that's what
every vote matters.
I don't know if you guys can hear what Spaz Kid's saying, and that's exactly part of the problem. You got teachers indoctrinating things like that to them, making kids feel guilty if they don't get out there and cast their vote, and that's fucking stupid. I sorry, it just is. Why would you encourage someone to vote if they're telling you they don't have an interest in learning about the candidates?
The funny thing is, too,
it doesn't make any sense.
Because when you're signing up to vote, you pick which
party or independent. Yep.
Yeah. She basically said you have to pick a party. Picking independent doesn't make any sense.
She said you shouldn't pick independent? Oh, shit. Yeah. Well, that's why, I've always said, even whether it's teachers, whether it's clergy, whoever, people have to be smart and take things people say with a grain of salt. Better off to wait and see who they are before you take what they say to heart, because what this teacher was spouting, this Spaz Kid, is pure and utter garbage, complete bullshit.
She basically said, here are what each party stand for, and then she gave us the list of, Republicans are they're pro guns and they're pro
right, the typical, right.
Yeah, and then she said, okay, whichever you have more on your pros list and what relates to you, that's what party you are.
No, well, especially and that's the thing. If you made that list for me, it would come out almost perfectly 50-50. So then what do you do? Yeah, but that's bullshit advice right there anyway. No, if you're not interested, you have every right to be uninterested in the political process and uninterested in the candidates. Don't vote. Philip says, I thought my days of cow punching were over once I started working at the weed factory. Got to go help my dad. See you guys had fun. Well, thanks, Philip, for being in while you could, pal. I appreciate it. Q-Wordy says, I don't know why, but I just love how you're able to jump so flawlessly from subject to subject, and you actually show interest in all of them. I am interested, Q-Wordy. I love it. This is why I love these streams every day. And I've said over and over, I love the fact that we can do that. We can go from talking about coronavirus to term limits to anime titties, and it all just fits together. Wait, do we need a politician with giant anime titties and the coronavirus? I think we're onto something there. I think we got something there. Wolverine says punch brats. Punch.
Yeah.
Ow. Jack Queen says, I was always brought up to vote because my great-grandfather and grandfather died for it. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, Jack Queen. And I never understood that philosophy. Again, people have every right to be disinterested in the system. If you don't really care who gets elected to whatever office, don't vote. You shouldn't be guilted for it. You shouldn't be shamed for it. People should only want people who have an interest out there voting. Cody says yes. Goku Black says, who would you have as your DBS wife, big boy? Not Chi Chi. Nope, she's out. She's too bitchy. She's too bossy, too just annoying. I don't even mean to disparage her. I don't dislike her. I ain't gonna be married to her. Bulma or Kefla? FBI ready to break down the door. Oh, it's Bulma. It's not even close for me. Bulma, I've told you guys before, Bulma's a freak. There's no doubt in my mind that Bulma's a complete freak, so she wins easily, comfortably. Donzo for president, Goku says. Missy Meow says, same shit, different political party. Yeah, pretty much. Jack says, now tie the boy to a train track. Yeah, Brack says, wait a second. Hold on. We might have taken to an uncomfortable level here. Chrome says, you know what? If somehow we finish watching Cardcaptor Sakura, I'll sponsor Detective Conan afterwards. We've got like 67 episodes of Sakura left. Then do we really have that many, Chrome? I didn't look up how many Sakura had. I tell you, that's a cute show. I do. I wish I had more time where my granddaughter was here, where we had available watching time and stuff, because I think she would enjoy the hell out of that. Oh, wow, Slough. Random question, but what's your favorite scene from the original Ghostbusters film? Mine's the scene between Ray and Winston talking about Judgment Day. That was good. I don't know what it'd be. I don't know it'd be my favorite. That had a lot of great scenes in it. I like the scene with the douchebag there. Was it the city inspector or whatever he was, between him and Bill Murray? That was a great scene. One of my not in that movie, one of my favorite scenes of all, of course, is always going to be Brax, what do they call the Whopper in France, or the quarter pounder in France? I mean,
was about to say,
the quarter pounder in France. Why is it going out of my head?
They don't have the metric system over there.
What do they call it? That's one of my favorite conversations ever, and I can't remember what they call it. The quarter pounder in France.
With cheese.
Something Royale. What is
Royale with cheese.
A what?
A Royale.
Royale with cheese. A Royale with cheese. That whole conversation. Well, that too, and the one with the kid when he's inside. English, motherfucker. Do you speak it? Though, whenever I just think of greatest individual scenes from movies, those pop right up to me. Royale with cheese. Yes, thanks, Candace. Everybody's saying it. Ocho. That was. Oh my God.
I was about to say,
that's such a great moment. God damn that. I just, that movie, I can watch it over and over and over and enjoy it, laugh at it every single time. Yep, the original Cardcaptor Sakura, Chrome says, is 70 episodes total. Then there's Clear Card, the revival sequel. The manga for that is still running, so who knows how many there'll be at the end. I didn't realize there were that many episodes to it. Like I say, it's a really cute plot line and really cute characters too. I still love Sakura's familial relationships, the way she is with her family. I think it's really cool. Zuzi says, hey, Curtis, just wanted to say you're a legend for doing Last Airbender on the channel. You rock. Well, thanks. I hope it gets to stay. I'm doing the best I can, guys. You never know what tomorrow will bring, but as long as they allow it to stay, it'll stay up there. You know, I don't care what they do. It can be like Dragon Ball Super. Come take the monetization, which would be the smart thing. If they have anything of an inkling of a problem with me posting it, I don't understand why everybody doesn't do what Toei did. Just take the monetization. Because obviously, the thing of it is, you can go into the chat and see literally now, if you look at our reaction videos to anime, tens of thousands of comments that all show clearly that you guys have seen all this before. You're just watching it to watch a reaction to it now. So given that, it's not taking any money away from you. So if you have a problem with me posting it, just take the monetization. I don't care. Take the ad revenue, and that way I can still keep sharing the reactions with you guys. Q already says, McDonald's in France is normally known as MacDo. At least that's all I'd hear people say there. Really, MacDo. That kind of makes sense. That's a cool. What the fuck's a cool? A cool shortening of it. MacDo. Yeah, MacDo. Give me my real with cheese. French people just went, fuck you. I've gone full weed recently, Arthur says, and I'm happier for it. I don't blame you. Be proud. Be proud. Excuse me. Let's see. Love for Filthy Frank, also known as Georgie. Yeah, Chardonnay. Filthy Frank's a legend. Absolute legend. M says, I always assume people asking him direct things already seen must be new. Yeah, I tend to make that immediate connection too, Em. Let's see. Gimster says, saw a funny tweet. English, I like tea. French, do you like croissants? Russians, do you think a tank tastes good? Yeah, pretty much, Gimster. I'll tell you what, that one of the most badass things I've seen recently was that I saw the official, I don't know what you call it, but the correspondence that Russian soldier made when he called an airstrike in on himself when he was pinned down by ISIS, and he knew the only way to get them was to call in the airstrike, and so he killed himself and them and took them all out. That when you read that conversation, holy shit, that was pretty. That kid was a fucking badass. QWordy says, I successfully. Apparently, it was even more complicated than you thought, QWordy. I successfully turned 3 of my friends into weebs to the point where they now ask me what anime to watch next. They haven't disliked any suggestions yet. That's where I've been. I'm so fortunate that I got into anime and I have you guys. That's why I haven't seen anything I haven't liked, because I have people recommending what is good. So you don't get tripped into watching anything that's kind of the shits. Dimmy says, I love politics only because I like to learn how to manipulate others. That's the place to learn, pal. For my photography business, politicians help me learn to appeal to others. You know what? You're not wrong, because we know that politics is a cult of personality. No question about it. Which is why I think also just talking about that's going to make it more difficult for Biden, because his personality is not strong. I mean, look at the last Democratic president. Barack Obama had probably the best quality personality for a president in my lifetime. I'd say so. More than Clinton, more than Reagan. He had just the perfect personality to appeal to a large swath of people. Joe Biden he don't have that. Let's see. Igor says, did you hear about Shad Gaspard going missing? He and his son were swimming and a current took him away, but he told rescuers to save his son first. A true man. I hope it has a happy ending. No, I don't know who that is, Igor, though. But that's terrifying. Jesus Christ, that's awful. Holy shit. Jack Queen says successfully. Yeah, I don't know what that word was, Jack, when it stumbled out of my mouth. I have no fucking idea. Shadow Blast says, I hate if the zoos reopen. Letting all those animals out would be bad for my health. Krusty Bomb says, problem with Obama is that he's all personality and barely anything else, not to mention the current Obamagate investigations. Well, the investigation notwithstanding, I don't agree with Obama on much, but I wouldn't agree with that. I think he has a very specific set of priorities and thoughts about how things should be done. I just don't happen to agree with a lot of them. QWordy says tacos / burritos, ramen, or a burger. Dude. See that the only that I can give you an answer, but that answer is going to be different from day to day. It just because I like all of those. I enjoy all of them. If it was right now, believe it or not, I'm in the mood for some ramen. I was thinking about that earlier. I might go down and make myself. I just keep those dopey little packages of it, but I'm seriously thinking about going and making myself a package of it. As kind of because now that I've been working out again and eating right, a lot of times I get hungry in between meals, because ideally you want to eat 4 or 5 small meals a day, not 3 big meals. So I don't eat much during the day. So as a holdover, I was thinking of just going and getting some ramen. So right now, ramen. If you ask me at any other time, it's probably going to be burger more often, burrito second, ramen third. But seeing as how I was just thinking about going down and having some chicken flavored ramen, right now that's the one. You fucking weeb, like says, yeah, pretty much. Have you heard about Chuck E. Cheese selling their pizza on delivery sites using an alias? No. What the hell was that about? Godgo? No, I hadn't heard anything about that. Look, says, eat your burger, you fat American man. Damn right. I've told you guys over and over, when my demise takes place, red meat will have been the major culprit. There's no question. Oh, okay. Igor says Curtis Shad is a former WWE wrestler, part of the Crime Time tag team. I remember them. Okay. I don't know if you were somewhat wrestling then. They teamed in WWE from 2006, 2010. Now that you say Crime Time, I remember Crime Time. I just didn't remember his name. Well, not surprisingly. That's tragic. That's terrible. Yeah, I hope nothing but the best, obviously, for him. Jesus Christ, that's frightening. Kendra says you're going to be Spaz Kage with all that ramen. It's something that I don't eat a lot, but every once in a while I just get in the mood for it. That's why I always keep some in the cupboard, because every once in a while I just feel like it, and today's one of those days. Chrome says, God, Biden versus Trump on a debate stage sounds like comedy gold, doesn't it? It really does. I feel like they'll use the pandemic to stop a physical debate from happening, unfortunately, because it'd be great. Oh, it would be perfect. The only thing that would be better, Chrome, you got to admit, would be a street fight. I just turn them loose and let them have at it. And I admit I'm voting for Trump, and he would probably lose the street fight, but it would still be fun. It'd be fucking awesome to watch. Maxon says Carl's Jr. and In-N-Out have some pretty good burgers. I used to work at Carl's Jr. when I was a kid, Maxon. I used to live on the West Coast because we don't have them here. Yeah, it was one of my early jobs. I worked at McDonald's and Carl's Jr. at the same time because one didn't pay enough. But I worked at a Carl's Jr. and yeah, their burgers were good. In-N-Out, I've never had an In-N-Out burger. Just by the name, I want to try it because In-N-Out, I'm 12, so that delights me. But no, I've never had one. But I remember the Carl's Jr. burgers, although it's been decades since I've had one. Well, I used to prepare the Carl's Jr. burgers. It's hard not to remember them. All right, guys. Well, I got to head out. This has been a great stream today. This is a long stream. This is a fun stream. God damn, this is a bunch of fun conversation. You guys just make my day. This is I'm amped now. And I was tired today too. I didn't get much sleep last night. Excuse me. I was doing my recording and my editing this morning, and sometimes being in front of the computer makes my eyes tired. I was feeling a little dragged. Now I feel all refreshed. I'm going to go down and have some ramen because I'm a weeb nerd. I wonder if I'd had ramen prior to being an anime fan, but I will admit, and I just thought of this now, I eat ramen a lot more since I started watching anime. That can't be a coincidence. That's got to be Freudian. It has to be. Curtis the Fat Kage. I'll take any title, Michael. It don't matter. Fat Kage, that's cool. As long as it's got Kage in it, I'm good. Have a good rest of your day. QWERTY says from all of us watching, I'm sure. Thank you, pal. I appreciate that a lot. But thank you guys, seriously, for hanging in there with me today. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll be streaming all week. I never know what's going to come up from day to day, but we should be able to be here. And yeah, I'm happy. So you know what we're getting today? We're getting ramen flavored sticky stuff. I haven't even had the ramen yet, but I'm channeling it. I've achieved that level of chi. I don't even know what that means. That looks more like a receiver about to catch a football, but whatever that is. I'm channeling some inner ramen into the sticky stuff. Hold on, give me a second. That's what she said. Here it comes. Okay, I got it. I got to get it quick while I can because I'm an old man. It doesn't stay there for long. Pampu. Sticky stuff. Ramen flavored chicken flavored ramen sticky stuff for everybody. Sticky stuff. Enjoy your ramen. We'll bang. Okay, flashly like Buggy. And as always, regardless of what I'm having for my midday snack, in this case ramen, here's some special ramen based goose. Goose.